Good morning and welcome to our second Wellness Lunch and Learn of 2023. I'm Carol Battle and I manage the statewide wellness program. This year we are very excited to be expanding our topics to include overall wellness topics such as disease prevention, financial wellness, mental and emotional wellness, as well as our nutritional and cooking demo webinars that we've done all last year. We're also increasing the number of lunch and learns, so be sure to visit our website. And you can register ahead of time for these, as well as when we send out the email that alerts you to the topic. As a reminder, everyone who's registered for today's webinar will receive a recording of the event within a week of the actual event. Past recordings are all housed on our same Wellness Webinars website. Today's webinar is focused on mental and emotional well-being. Our presenter today is Susan McKenzie, who's a rehabilitation education specialist with DHHS in the Eastern region of North Carolina. She teaches classes that are focused on communication, wellness, self-care, and she's also a certified yoga instructor. During the presentation, please use the chat box if you have any questions. We've saved a few minutes periodically throughout the event for Susan to answer those, and then we'll have some at the end as well. So without further ado, let's begin by welcoming Susan McKenzie. Susan?
All right, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to 2023 and Me, a guide to mind, movement, and mental health. So my intention this morning is to highlight mental well-being and provide you with at least one tool for connecting so that you find space for calm in your life. So Carol, would you let me know how many people we have in our audience today?
Yes, right now it looks like about 498.
Wow, so that's awesome. Almost 500 people. So when I think of all the time each of us has invested in the pursuit of our own health, our healthy minds and bodies, I'm going to assume there is a lot of wisdom out there to be shared. So please feel free in the Q&A to share if you have practices that you find helpful, or there's things that you've done and you've learned that you want to share. I would love to hear. So speaking of that, in a few minutes, we are going to do some practicing of mind and movement and mental health. So I invite you at that time to take a moment. Actually, I'd like you to do that now. Take a moment to look around. If you can close the door, turn off your phone, turn off any other apps except for your MS Team. Really find, maybe dim the lights in your office, put a sign up to do not disturb. So I'm just going to give you just a few seconds to do that so that when we come to that time to practice, that you're able to do it without distraction, because that's where you're going to get the most out of this session today. So I'm going to give you a minute. So in other words, turn as many distractions off as possible. So our nation and even the world is experiencing a tidal wave of fear and stress. We're seeing it, the effects in our children, we're seeing it in ourselves and our places of work. And just as the mind is connected to our body, so is our being connected to other beings all around us. And we cannot help but bump up against each other's stresses at times. And depending on the day, that might be good or it might be really bad. So again, my intention this morning is to highlight mental well-being and to provide you with at least one tool that you can walk away with for connecting so that you find space for calm in your life. So here's what I hope to cover today. I want us to look at our mind and understand the impact of input. I want us to look at what movement does for us and demonstrate how moving and breath are connected to our health. Then finally, we'll end with mental health, how we create margin to connect and find calmness in our life. So obviously, our mind and movement and mental health, they're all intricately connected. But I'd like us to kind of untangle the pieces to see how the wholeness is affected by the different pieces. So I'll give you a moment to look at this picture, and this is where I invite you to really participate as well. Does it say anything to you about how you're feeling, how you're doing right now? Welcome you to put something in the chat or in the comments if you can see yourself. I know for me, that kind of represents a continuum at times. Sometimes I feel like that last match where I'm done. And then sometimes I feel like that first match where I am on fire. I'm passionate about what I'm doing and I can't wait to share it. That's kind of how I feel this morning about bringing this to you because there's so much good stuff. You're the middle match, okay? To me, it's levels of how you're feeling. Burnt, okay? The longer I go, the worse I feel. Yeah, it could be burnout for sure. Yeah. So we're all kind of maybe in the continuum of where these matches are lit. So now I want to share a quote. All right. It's not advancing. Hold on just a moment. There we go. So take a moment to read this quote and then let me know your thoughts about it in the Q&A again. Thanks for those who are sharing. I really appreciate it. Does this say anything to you? Yeah. So a lot of you can relate to those matches and where you are. The flame continues even though the wood is burning. I really love that. That is very poetic, whoever wrote that. That's awesome. And that's so true, isn't it? Because what we create kind of continues to exist, but we eventually fade out. So that's a lot of wisdom there. Try not to completely let things burn out. So I'm so glad I'm hearing this. So you guys are in the right place today. So we all are to learn a little bit from one another. All right. So let's move into the mind. Do you think of the mind and the brain the same way? Most people do, but would you believe that the mind is more powerful than the brain? So your brain is an incredibly complex machine with a remarkable ability to recognize and accept and adapt to life circumstances. And it's really, really good at it. But sometimes that adaptive function can work against us. The behaviors developed by the brain to survive really stressful situations like past trauma, past extreme criticism, can also make us hyper alert and keep us trapped in that loop of negativity, anxiety, stress, even when the threat is gone. And the more we repeat those behaviors or thoughts, the more we reinforce their related brain connections. We've all heard about the neuroplasticity and the transfer and the ruts we create when we think a certain way, and we watch things all the time, same things. So the more we reinforce the related brain connections, the more of a tremendous impact and consequences it can have on our well-being. The good news is, and that's why I'm here today, to say there is really good news, is that we can change our brains. And unlike any other animal, we humans have the distinct capacity to train our minds deliberately so that our minds can actually change our brain. This area of research in science has just exploded. So I'm going to throw out a few names if you want to go deeper to read. Dr. Andrew Huberman from Stanford University, Dr. Dan Siegel from UCLA. He's written like 4 different books on this, and all this stuff is on YouTube. Dr. Amen and Jim Quick, who's a brain coach. These are 4 people that I have kind of gleaned information from and gotten material for this training. So let's think about and look at one of the techniques. I know that there's tons of comments going by and I can't read them all. So Carol, I may stop right here if there's anything that's coming out that you think I should focus on, because I really do care about what you guys are saying, but obviously don't have time to read responses from everybody. Go ahead.
I have one question: that how do you undo the brain connections that are formed and cause anxiety?
We're going to get to that. Thank you for asking. That's a perfect question. And that is when we get to the movement part, we're going to be practicing some activities that will do that. And any of these books that Dan Siegel has written, Dr. Dan Siegel, will also help you with those tools. And Dr. Andrew Huberman, they also have podcasts, if you're into podcasts, that help you retrain your brain.
All right, and we have quite a few suggestions that maybe you put those resources in the chat. Or not in the chat, in the live questions and answers, or will we have links to them in the presentation?
There aren't. Some of them are in that handout that I created for this.
Okay.
I will put those names in the live event.
Okay. And we will definitely send them out with the recording as well, just some of those resources that she has mentioned.
Great. Okay. So I want to start with telling you just about one simple one. I'm sure you've all heard of this before. It's called visualization. So the University of Chicago did a study. They brought together 3 groups. Group A, B, and C. They were real creative with the names of their groups. And they brought them all to a basketball court. Each group had the opportunity to shoot free throws to the basket. They counted their ability to do this, how many shots they made, how many shots they didn't make. Then they sent them home, each group, and Group A, they asked them to practice every day for 30 days. Get on the court, practice your 3 free throws. Group B, and not to do anything. Don't even get on the court. Don't think about basketball. Just live your life. Group C, they asked them to practice every day, but not on the court, only in their mind. Just 30 days of visually looking at making those baskets. And at the end of those 30 days, they brought them back, retested them. Group A improved their free throw shots by 24%. Group B, the group that didn't do anything, they didn't improve at all. Group C, however, improved 23%. They didn't shoot a single basket, but it was just The mind's ability, see, the mind doesn't know whether you're actually doing something or whether you're just thinking about it. So that's the answer to, that's one answer to that question asked earlier, is how do you retrain your brain? You want to think differently, then you have to give your mind a script that is different from what you've always been thinking. And that could be different for everybody. So that's just one example of visualization. So what holds us back from making healthy changes or applying these kinds of techniques? This is where we're going to talk about the input. Here is a possibility that may be holding many of us back from the changes we want to make, or the time we have to make those changes. It sounds really simple enough to write out our goals, right, and calendar them and practice them, like taking time to breathe deeply or to do a visualization. But it's not as easy of a feat in today's world of dizzying distractions and cunning algorithms designed to hijack our attention with chemical manipulations in our brains. We're going to talk about this a little deeper, and I'd love to hear what you think. But the bottom line is, all this information that's coming at us is not giving us a better life, but an escape from it. Anything stand out to you in this 2018 infographic? So I can't imagine what 2023 looks like, what's happening every day. But you can see that back in 2018, there was every minute of every day, almost 50,000 Instagram posts. So just that one area alone is huge, just huge. Anybody say anything about that?
Just that there is so much social media these days, and reiterated everything that you have said.
Okay. Somebody says, I think the brain is a conduit and the mind as the electricity that you only know exists because the lights are on. Interesting comment. All right. So I wanted to just talk about that idea of the dopamine and stress addiction, because a lot of us, many of us, don't realize that we are addicted to stress, that we think it's normal to feel these really high levels of anxiety, and we don't even realize that we're in that state. So I want to share with you a quote from Sean Parker. It's a social validation feedback loop, exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with, because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. This was the first president of Facebook and co-founder of Napster, in reference to all the input and all the social likes and dislikes and thumbs up and thumbs down and happy faces and unhappy faces, and just this whole idea that we're constantly giving input and we're constantly surrounded by screens. So the evidence is alarming. The average daily digital content consumption, including time spent on social media, news sites, and streaming, is now 7 hours per person per day, according to a recent Forbes report. This kind of input into our minds has massive impact on us as human beings. I don't think we were meant to have this much information coming at us all the time. So I want to share with you a quote here, these numbers, and what do you think they might represent? Anybody have any idea? So the 60,000 is about the number of thoughts that we have per day. So that's about all our brain actually processes and can think about, which is a lot. And then the 1.98 billion is the number of websites that have been added to the internet since 2022. And you can look up these facts on the internet. Then I had to learn how to say this one. 2 quintillion, 500 quadrillion equals the number of new data created on the internet every day. And that's enough US pennies to spread across the entire globe 5 times over. So that's a lot of information. No way that we can, take it all in. Just think about our daily email, just personal email, and then our work email. It's really hard. I don't know about you, but at the beginning of this year, I just went through and like all these fluff things that were coming through my email, I just got rid of. I was like, I don't have time to, process all this information every day, day in and day out. All right, I'm going to stop here, see if there's any questions, any comments.
We really have a bunch of comments, but no real questions right now. So
okay,
keep it coming.
I do love the comments, even though I can't read every single one of them. I will go back and read. Were you saying Facebook wasn't shown on that infograph? And I guess that might be overstimulation. Yes, which causes that level of anxiety that we just kind of hum along with, that I don't even think we recognize, which is why it's so important that we stop and do this part. So let's think together what movement has to do with all of this, because as the mind can change the brain, so can the body change the mind. There was a study done on people who had clinical depression, and they looked at their body and how they held themselves. And a lot of times what they found in this group that they were looking at was that people who were depressed, their shoulders slumped over, their head fell down, that their countenance was a downturned face. They just didn't, that's just how it expressed itself. The inward brain, mind had that body expression. So they did a study asking those people, certain people that they were working with, that every morning to get up, look in the mirror, smile at themselves, and to just begin to laugh, to find something to laugh about, to find something to smile about, and to tell themselves it was going to be a great day. Now, it was really, really difficult, but they did find at the end of the study, those who had done this were definitely improved their depression. I can't say it took it away completely, but it definitely helped. So there is something to that idea that the way we carry ourselves and the thoughts that we think can both change our body, can change our mind. So just think about, what does a confident person look like? What does it look like in their body? If you saw someone walking in the door and you said, wow, they look really confident, what kinds of things would you be saying to yourself that makes you think that they're confident? So you can see the difference in just body language and how that could change. There's also been a study done, they call it the superhero pose, where you put your hands on your hips and your feet are kind of spread apart and your chest is open and shoulders are back. And that is signifying to the body that you are confident, that you are in charge. And that can actually change your brain just doing that. And there were studies done to show that people do that before they speak, before they come into a big stage or arena, to give them the confidence they need to talk. All right. So let's quickly run through some of the science about movement, both active and calm, and then we'll practice some of these. So the role of breath. Breath work reduces stress, anxiety, increases energy, it boosts immunity, it helps manage pain, which can cause fatigue and brain fog. So just the simple act of breathing is really important. Sometimes we go through the day and we don't even think about breathing because it's so automatic, and we hold our breath, or we hold tightness in our body, or we breathe so shallowly that it just builds up tension in the body. So it's really important that we learn to breathe and breathe deeply throughout the day. All right. What about passive movement? Just allowing and taking the time for a massage. Touch is stress relief. It reduces irritability, increases the happy chemicals that are released in our body, and also improves concentration. We know a lot about exercise. We've heard how important that is, so I'm not going to get too much into that. But even taking the time to stretch can do wonders for your day at work. And there's a lot of stuff out there about, work or chair exercises or chair stretching that can be done in a minute or two. So we talked about visualization. Some other ways to visualize are, having a vision board, picturing your happy place, having a mentor that you really admire, and following their footsteps, acting like they. So there's other ways to use visualization besides just visualizing yourself doing and being who you want to be. So now we're going to practice movement and meditation. And we'll start with breath work. So hopefully you took some time to create a space that isn't going to have any distractions for you. Staying with our breath and the sensation of the breath continuously is being mindful, and can also be meditation. So I don't know if you've ever followed a single breath from end to end and paid attention to all the sensations that occur in your body, but one single breath can make you aware of your posture, how tight your belt is, and any tension in your abdomen, in your shoulders. Think of the breath kind of like a swing in a playground. As you breathe in, first it accelerates, and then it slows down near the end. Then it comes to kind of an unstable stop, and then starts again, going in the other direction. And the speed of your breath is always changing. So to take time to notice all this, you not only need awareness, but also concentration. So I invite you to come with me on a little journey here of our breath. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to start with the breath, and we're going to work through some breathing, and then we'll move into the practice of stretching. And then finally, we'll end with some stillness and quiet and calm. We'll walk through a little activity to just bring us down into calmness. All right. Any questions before I head into the practice part of our session today? Carol? Any questions?
There were, oh, there she is. Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Kara. You can.
Someone asked, how can we help our kids to prevent this? This is unfortunately a norm for them.
Yeah, limiting screen time, having, those, I guess, parental controls on all the screens in their lives. It just, they have it, I'm sure they have it at school, they have it if they're carrying phones. I think it's just a matter of really limiting that time that they can be on screen. That's my suggestion. Anybody else?
Yeah, someone asked about, you had mentioned a number earlier that was 2.5 quintillion number. They were asking what that was.
That is the number of new data created on the internet every day. New data.
And then someone asked, how can I disconnect my brain from my electronics and just read a book again? I now read articles online and go from one article to another once I start reading.
Yeah, and that's what we're getting ready to practice right now. Some of it is just doing this breath work, intentionally shutting everything down. I find that it's not even good enough to like put my phone in another room. I have to actually cut it off, because if I hear it buzz, anybody ever had phantom buzzing or actually thought you heard your phone when you didn't? Like, you thought you heard a text message come in, and so you go check your phone and there's no text message. That has happened to me. And so I'm like, whoa, I need to. But I've also heard of people like that carry it in their pocket, having phantom buzzing on their legs. They think their phone is still in their pocket when it's not. So I think there's just this very, in my opinion, unhealthy connection to technology. We're so dependent, that we just have to be very mindful and make choices that separate us from it. You can look up digital detox, how to, take a weekend, take a 24-hour period, let everyone know that you're not going to be on your phones. I've done that. I started doing that last year just because it was too much for me, just all the input of screens every day. Anything else out there?
Someone, go ahead, Carol.
So someone mentioned that they have asthma, and sometimes the focus on breathing is anxiety producing. How would you combat that when you're doing this to relax?
I would just keep your breath at a normal breath pace. Don't try to take it deeper, or, just however you would normally breathe. I would hope that would not create anxiety for you, but however, so if I say take a deep breath, you don't take a deep breath. You just stay at your pace that feels good for you. And that's with any of these suggestions. It's an invitation. It's not a requirement for you to participate. So if you feel like it causes more anxiety for you to do this, then I would suggest not doing it, because that's not the purpose. The purpose is to find stillness and quiet and calm. And the meditation part, or the quiet, calm part, is really just being still. I will be talking some, but it's not for you to, create big, huge, deep breaths. Any other questions? That was a great question.
And one person asked, she quoted, "The mind can change the brain can change the body, the body can change the mind." Did she get that right?
The mind can change the brain. That's all the neuroplasticity, neuroscience. And then the body can change your actual movements. How you stand can actually change your mind. That's what I said.
Great. And many people have taken on reading, that they're setting aside time to read.
Great. Yeah. Lost art, to actually have a book in your hand instead of digital media.
Right.
Yeah, instead of podcasts. I mean, podcasts are great because you can keep moving and keep doing. But I think that we need to like step back from all the doing and take a break from all that. So
that's a good point. A lot of people do use audiobooks, so you can, listen to a book in the car instead of listening to news on the radio that is stressful.
Yep. Really good point. All right. So let's see. How much time do I have? Because I want to make, we're good. 12:05, right? All right. So any other concerns about the practice? Don't do anything that would create more tension in your body. I just invite you just to, observe and not participate if this is going to be stressful for you at all. All right. So we'll start with the breath. And I'm just going to do a simple, you can keep your eyes open or you can close them. It's totally up to you, whatever is more comfortable for you. If you can find a comfortable place to sit where you can keep your back nice and tall, and because you want the diaphragm and the lungs to have all the space that they can to breathe. And so I just ask you to either close the eyes gently or you can leave them open and just notice the breath, your personal breath, how it moves in and out. Don't try to change it. Just see if you can follow the breath. Just staying with the breath and the sensations of the breath continuously is being mindful. It can also be a meditation, just that focus on the breath. So where is it coming in? Is it through the nostrils? Is it through the mouth? How is it leaving your body? Is it, again, through the nostrils, or are you opening your mouth to release? So just follow the breath in and follow it out. I'd like you to join me for a little more intentional breath work. And again, if you want to just keep your focus on your natural breath, watching it with your mind, watching it move into your body, watching it move out, you're welcome to do that. Slowing down and paying attention to that may be all that you need today. But if you'd like, I'm going to take you on what we call square breathing. And it's inhaling, holding, inhaling again, holding, inhaling again. So think about your breath as a square. So you'll inhale for 2, you'll hold for 2, you'll exhale for 2, hold for 2, inhale for 2. So think of it as a breath. So we'll start with that. So inhaling in through the nose, exhale, holding for 2, exhaling out, hold for 2, inhale in, hold, exhale, hold, inhale. So now I'm going to count. So inhale for 1, 2, hold 1, 2, exhale 1, 2, hold 1, 2. One more round. Inhale 1, 2, hold 1, 2, exhale 1, 2, hold 1, 2, and inhale deeply if that feels good for you. And if you have your eyes closed, gently open them. Now we'll add some movement to the breathing. There are too many boxes. Yeah, I know sometimes that can be a little confusing. But you can work that's also an exercise that you can find on the internet. So if you want to work on it, you can work up to 4 counts, 5 counts, 8 counts, and really work with the breaths to create that deep feeling. Another thing that we can do, and we'll, again, like I say, add some movement here, is we can find the breath and regulate the body. So bringing your hand to your forehead and one hand to your forehead, if this is comfortable for you and you have the ability, and then one hand to your heart. And then I'll invite you just to close the eyes. Just think about the calmness created by the hand over the forehead and over the heart. And then we'll connect with the breath again. Inhaling in, exhaling out. It's your own breath pace. Inhaling in, and exhaling out. More time. And now the hand that's on your forehead, bring to your belly. We'll try to bring the breath down to our abdomen so that as we breathe in, the belly expands like a balloon. Don't worry if this doesn't happen right away, because sometimes it takes practice. And sometimes you can feel it better if you're laying on the floor. Or you're laying in bed. So this might be something you try to practice. And the question earlier about how do I get my brain to stop looping, this is one of them, is to really bring that focus to the breath. So inhaling in, expand the belly like a balloon. See if the breath can rise all the way up to the collarbone. So really filling the belly, filling the lungs, and then exhaling out, releasing everything. And as you release, see if you can pull the belly button back, like pushing the diaphragm back towards the spine, pressing in. Inhale in, expand through the belly, perhaps even let the breath rise to the collarbone. Exhale. Pressing gently the belly button back towards the spine. And then we'll reach the arms out to the side. Big inhale in. If it's okay with your body, reaching the arms over the head, and then bringing the hands into what we call prayer pose. So the fingers are together, thumbs are together. Inhale in and draw your fingers to the sternum, pressing your elbows up and forward, pressing the fingers into the center of your chest. Exhale, press the fingers towards the screen, towards me, and let the elbows relax. Inhale, press forward. Fingers come into the chest, pressing the palms together, lifting the elbows. Exhale. Pressing everything towards the screen, letting the shoulders relax, the elbows relax. One more time, inhale in, pressing fingers in. Big inhale, exhale, release. Reaching, interlacing palms, pressing them towards the screen, inhaling, reaching up over your head. Big inhale in. Exhale, let the arms fall gently to your sides. See if you can reach behind you. See if your hands will clasp behind you, and see if the palms come together. Opening up the chest, lift your chin, look up at the ceiling or wherever you are. Opening the chest, take a deep breath in. Exhale, release, releasing the arms to your side. Nice, nice. See if you notice any difference in just that few simple activities. Sorry, I was trying to read and do this at the same time. All right, so our final activity will be it's a stillness, quiet, calm activity. So again, if you can find a place to sit, if you can find a place to lay down, that would be great. Again, no distractions would be great. And then we'll walk through this. And this is another one of those activities you can find for free on the internet, where you can just have someone walk you through with a calm voice. You can find a voice that you like, because not every voice is calming and gentle. Some voices might be irritating, and I pray that my voice is not that for you. So here we go. I'm going to give you just a couple of seconds to relax, find your spot. And again, if you're comfortable, closing the eyes. Taking a deep breath in, exhaling out. We try so hard to figure out everything around us, to make sense of it all, and to make it work, only to find it changes again. So I invite you to surrender, to let go and experience what you cannot control with stillness. Start by taking a comfortable position. Let your eyes gently close. If there's any tension in your face, begin to soften it. Soften the forehead, cheeks, the area around your mouth and jaw. Perhaps even opening the mouth, releasing the tongue from the roof of your mouth. Maybe a slight part in the lips just to relax. And feeling into the throat, the front and the back. Releasing any tension here. Let the shoulders relax down deeply away from the ears. And if you feel any tightness here, see if you can breathe deeply into this place. See if you notice a release. Turn your focus to the breath. Taking natural breaths in and out. Just noticing your pattern again. There's no right or wrong way to breathe. Observe the rise and fall of each breath. The sensation of each breath. Is the air cool as it enters the nostrils? Is it warm as it leaves? Be present with each breath as it changes and as you continually be with the breath right now. Be with the aliveness of each fresh breath, knowing that that breath will never come again. And the new breath you're breathing is in the moment. You're here right now. So keep following the breath and notice if the mind is still anchored here on each new breath. Sometimes when we're learning a new practice, we want to jump to the finish line. If we are focusing on the outcome of our practice, we actually miss the purpose of our practice. Striving for relaxation or striving to change the brain is not the goal. Just practicing is the goal. Taking each moment to notice the breath and how it changes. Being able to stay with the breath as your anchor. Take a moment to notice how you're feeling. Let's do a mental scan from the top of your head down to your shoulders, abdomen, legs and feet. Gently move the fingers. Your eyes are closed. Gently squeeze them and flutter them open. Take in one more deep breath, perhaps like you would when you first wake up in the morning, really stretching in all directions, just deep inhale. And if you feel comfortable opening your mouth, exhaling out, a big sigh. Again, the brain hears that sigh and kicks in the autonomic nervous system that says, calm me down. That's a calming trigger for our brain. So we will move on from there. Carol, is there anything that I need to know? Okay.
So is it normal to feel a little sleepy after doing things like this?
Yeah.
Like getting so relaxed.
Absolutely. That's the whole point, I think, is to, because we live at such a high stress pace, that these practices just bring our autonomic nervous system back into regulation so that we're not just constantly in that hyper alert state that we talked about when we were talking about the mind. Great question.
And do you have a reference sheet for these type exercises along with the video to share with us afterwards? We will be sharing the video.
Yeah, there's a lot of them in the handout that I put together for this. I did like a little handout, but you can go on YouTube, and Mindspace is an app, and Calm is an app that they have a free version. Of course, there's advertising in those, but you can also get a lot of different activities like this on YouTube, and you can use them anytime. You know, there's 2-minute ones, there's 5-minute ones. There's actually, if you have the Viva Insights on your Outlook MS Teams package. Some of our agency has it, DHHS, some don't. But Viva has a meditation practice that you can do just anytime during the day. It's set for a minute or 2 minutes. And you can just schedule that on your calendar. So it's called Viva Insights. And it's an app you can download. Great questions, everyone. All right, so how many of you feel like you have margin in your life to do these kinds of things? I define margin as the space between your load and your limit. So you know what your limit is, and it's the border between all that. So how many of you feel like you have that space to breathe in your everyday life? Is it something that you can do? Can you pull that in? It really doesn't take long. I mean, even think about how we started with the breath. Just taking a minute to focus on your breath can take that brain that's kind of going crazy and drop it down a notch. And just breathing, just being aware of the breath can do that. All right. So I want to talk just a minute about our mental health and why is having margin so difficult in our life. Obviously, part of it is just all the input that we have around us. So do you feel compelled to constantly check your smartphone for texts, emails, social media posts? Do you find yourself multitasking throughout the day just to get things done? And you may be robbing yourself of happiness, peace, and the joy that you crave. The latest research from Harvard Medical School reports simple mindfulness practices like we just did. They help to focus our attention on the present moment and are a key to happiness and a healthier mind-body connection. So I want you to, think about that as you move through your day to put these in your life. So if this is your life and you have no margins, start beginning to put even 1 minute of margin in your life. So I'll end here, and I'd love to have your input here in the comments about one takeaway that you will have from this session about mind, movement, or mental health. Is there anything that helped you that you might be able to use for 2023 is my hope. So let me know. All right, so some people talk about using MindSpace. One of I'll put these, Dr. Dan, I don't know if I'll spell his name right, Dr. Dan Siegel, he has a book called Mind Sight. That's one of his newest books. He's a PhD doctor from Stanford University is, oh my goodness, my brain just went blank. All right, do we have any questions? I know our time is almost up, but I want to.
We had one person who was interested in, they have a friend who suffers from severe OCD. Mm-hmm. And he seems to think that screens provide a distraction for dwelling on negative thoughts. What do you think about this philosophy?
Well, I guess it depends on what's on your screens.
Maybe meditation might be better than screens.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on social media, yeah, I can see how that would create a space for negative thoughts it depends on what you choose to look at when you're on social media, what posts what people you follow and what their mindset is, because that's another thing they say is that 5 people that you hang around the most are who you will become in the future. So if you're constantly listening to negative input, your brain is taking that all in. So it really depends on what people are choosing to look at when they are on screens.
All right, and our time is really up, but I did want to thank you so much, Susan. This was obviously well received and a great course today. I do want to make sure that all of you who are in state agencies do know that we have an employee assistance program and McLaughlin and Young, and you can sign on to that, of course, for free. One of my favorite things that is part of the EAP program is Perks at Work, which is not only an employee discount program, but it also has a community online academy, and you can sign up for that for free. It also has an app you can add to your phone. So at any time you can take you can register for a live class, or you can sign up for any of the on-demand classes. And they have meditation, yoga, they have all kinds of classes for both adults and children, from wellness to personal development. So join this community to really get healthier, smarter, support each other, and help those that are in need now and in the future. So it is just a great resource that is free to all state employees who are part of McLaughlin Young Employee Assistance Program. So we will send you the link on how to sign up for that, and then you go to your personnel manager to get what your login and agency password is for you to be able to sign on to it. But it is completely free and a wonderful resource. As much as we would love someone like Susan McKenzie to pop into our phones and do a breathing exercise for 15 minutes every day at 4 o'clock, we're just not going to be able to do that. So take advantage of this online programs. It's called COA, the Community Online Academy, and it is completely free. Some of the classes are European and yoga focused. You can Google yoga for strength of your knee, whatever you need. And thank you again, Susan, and to all of you who joined us. We appreciate it, and we will be sending you all the resources that we talked about today in this class, as well as a copy of the recording. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Go be calm.